Hello YouTube, welcome back to Assetto Corsa, and today I'm going to be taking a look at this wonderfully lime green McLaren 570S, another car that is included in the ready to race pack. So I have got my head tracking working today, nice and fancy, and we're just going to be out at the Nurburgring Nordschleife on the Touristenfahrten, so the tourist track. And it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, as you can see, or 5 o'clock in the evening, I suppose you could say, as you can see. And we're just going to get a feel for this car. Again, not going to go full out, you know, all the way out 100%. Just going to get a feel for the car. Traction control is off. I'm not on the semi-slicks, I'm on the street tyres as well, and I did a couple of laps with traction control on just to get a feel for it, or well, one lap with traction control on and the semi-slick tyres, but now we're on street tyres. So let's get straight into the specifications for this car. I'm going to be reading out the specifications directly from McLaren's site. So this is a 3.8 litre 90 degree V8 engine. The code name for the engine is the M838TE. It's twin turbo, dry sump, 32 valves, dual overhead cam, variable valve timing, with a maximum RPM of 8,500. Produces 562 horsepower. That's 570 PS or normal horsepower. 562 is brake horsepower at 7,500 RPM and 600 Newton meters of torque. That's 443 pound-feet of torque between 5,000 and 6,500 RPM. That's a pretty good set of figures for a car like this. Transmission is a 7-speed seamless shift dual clutch gearbox called an SSG. So it is paddle shifters, flappy paddles of course. Suspension. The chassis on this is a double wishbone adaptive dampers, open differential with brake steer. Now this is quite interesting. You have brake steer on the differential. This is something that they've got on the McLaren P1 as well, and it just helps the car turn in. So instead of having a lock differential or anything like that, it's a completely open differential, and it's not limited slip diff or anything. So it's got this weird brake steer system which makes turning and everything better. It's quite convoluted and complicated, and I would have thought that putting in a limited slip diff would just be cheaper and lighter and easier, but this is McLaren, and I suppose they wanted to be very technologically advanced, so they've got an open diff with brake steer. Of course, you've got ABS, traction control, which is off, ABS, which is on, stability control, launch control. Launch control, I still don't know how to get it working in Assetto Corsa. Maybe it doesn't work. I really don't know. And it does have 19 inch wheels on the front and 20 on the back, which are actually 8 and 10 inches wide. Pirelli P0 Corsa 225 35 R19s on the front and 285 35 R20s on the back. So pretty wide rear tires, even though this is a... Actually, I think this is a rear-wheel drive. Yeah, I think this is a real... It definitely felt like a rear-wheel drive. Anyway, it weighs 1,344 kilograms, or at its lightest 1,313. That's its dry weight. And if you want that in pounds, that's 2,963, or just shy of 2,900 at its lightest. And it's a monocell chassis, so it's got one of those carbon fiber monocoque sort of chassis, similar to what we have in Formula 1 car. It's now standard for all the cars. Essentially all supercars and hypercars that are made nowadays seem to have this monocoque as standard. It's very cheap. Well, it's not as cheap, but it's very strong. It's relatively cheap, and it's very lightweight, and that's the important thing. It's lightweight and it's strong. It just gives you a much more sportier feel. Top speed is 204 miles per hour, and with that 3.8 litre V8 engine, 0 to 60 takes 3.1 seconds, 0 to 100 in 6.3, with a braking distance of 60 to 0 in 31 meters, 2.9 seconds. So this car accelerates almost as fast as it brakes. That's actually quite impressive. It accelerates almost as fast as it brakes, only 0.2 of a second in it from 60 up and down. That's pretty impressive. I've got to give it that. So there we go. That's all the specifications about the car. Now on to what it's like in Assetto Corsa. Well, first of all, it's modeling wise looks incredible. I find this new generation of McLaren, the front lights, the way it droops down, with the front air intakes and stuff like that into the chin spoiler and all that kind of stuff, and the whole front bumper just looks a bit strange to me. But I suppose it's something that started with the P1 and it seems to have followed along, and it looks okay on the P1, and it looks, I don't know, I think the 12C looked better than the 650S at the front, and this car looks okay. But then we've got the new, is it 720S or something, which I think just looks a bit, it just looks a bit odd. It just does. This one doesn't look too bad. I like the lights. I just don't like the way that the bumper gapes around at the bottom where all the air intakes and everything are. It just looks a bit strange, but it's very accurately modelled and very accurately textured in and out. Nice. It looks like some sort of suede effect on the actual dashboard and everything, or at least some sort of textured plastic. You can see the carbon fibre on the door panel. The orange is nice, the McLaren orange. Nice steering wheel, very simple. Dials all work very well. You can see there that you've got a fuel percentage, you've got tyre temperatures, and tyre pressures over there. Obviously you've got your gear indicator, you've got your tachometer, you've got your rev lights, and you've got all your information right there in front of you, very, very easy to read. And you've got a little clock in the center console, so you can see 7 minutes past 5 right there. Fantastic. Sounds wise, you can definitely tell it's a V8. Sounds pretty good. I do quite like the sounds of this. It's a little bit muffled, but I suppose that's because it's a sports car as opposed to a full-on crazy supercar. It's designed to be more of a, yes, it's a supercar really, but more of a sporty instead of a hypercar. So you do have to have a bit of, you know, sound deadening in the cabin and all that kind of stuff. But overall, it sounds pretty good. From the outside, it sounds fairly nice as well. I was impressed with the sounds on the outside. Still, again, something missing that seems to be missing from all Assetto Corsa cars. I don't know whether it's just that oomph feeling, that extra bass, or something's always missing. And it seems to be missing in a number of titles, simulators and games as well. So I don't think it's any fault of theirs. I think it's just how sound recording goes in this. Physics, last but not least, the physics. Well, this car is really, really fun to drive. Despite being the baby McLaren, this car slides around like crazy. The acceleration and the braking on this are phenomenally good. It's really agile. I suppose the shorter wheelbase does help it with its agility. It's really, really stable when you're trying to drive it sensibly, but then you can just feel it just over the bumps and things like that. Little bits of wiggling, like the car wants to let loose. It wants to let loose. It wants to be pushed. It wants to go slightly sideways. You know, it just wants to be on the edge, and I really like that. You can drive this car at 80% no problems, 90% no problems. When you get to 100%, that's where you really have to start getting to grips, that really nice fine tuning of the car. In a way, this is almost as enjoyable, I would say, as the McLaren P1. It's a lot slower, yes, but it's almost as enjoyable. Far more enjoyable than the 12C. The 12C felt very static, very scientific. Of course, this is scientific as well, but they've brought a fun factor back into this car, and I think that's really, really nice. So for that, I really, really like this car, and I've got to give this car a 10 out of 10, which is really odd. I didn't think I was going to give this car a 10 out of 10, but this is genuinely a wonderful, wonderful car to drive. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great. It was just a great feeling, a really natural feeling to drive. It felt like you were on the edge, but also not on the edge. It felt like you were pushing, but not pushing so much, and it felt like you were always in control of the car, and the car was very predictable. It'd tell you where it was going to go, you know, where it was going to go loose. It wasn't just going to snap on you suddenly in any which direction. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa, leave a comment in the comments box below, let me know what you think of this car, and last but not least, do check out my Patreon scheme. Link to that is in the description box below. I would really, really appreciate your support as I have a quick peek around just to see where everything is. As you can see, very, very pretty. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and the next car I will test, well, you'll just have to wait and see, because I haven't actually decided yet. I'll see you guys next time.